Sergeant Cole Riker moved carefully through the broken city. Cryan Ridge was a place no one wanted to visit. The buildings were cracked and falling apart. Smoke rose in thick black clouds, and the air smelled of burning metal. The war between the Earth Federation and the Zilari Empire had left this city a ruin. Cole's heart was heavy. He had fought many battles, but Cryan Ridge was one of the hardest. The enemy was close, and danger was everywhere. His team was small now, just 4 soldiers left. They had lost many good friends in this war. The sun was setting, turning the sky red like fire. Cole held his rifle tightly and led his team deeper into the city. Their mission was simple but dangerous: find any survivors and gather information about enemy movements. Suddenly, Cole heard a soft noise. It was a small, scared sound, like someone crying. He stopped and looked around. The others waited quietly, weapons ready. "Did you hear that?" one of the soldiers whispered. Cole nodded and moved toward the noise. It came from a ruined temple covered in vines and dust. The walls were cracked, and the floor was covered with broken stones. Inside, something was moving. Cole stepped inside slowly. The light was dim, but he saw a small figure huddled under a fallen beam. It was a little girl, no older than 5. Her skin was a pale blue, and her big eyes looked frightened. She wore a simple dress, torn and dirty. The girl looked at Cole with fear. She did not say anything. Cole lowered his rifle and slowly reached out his hand. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The little girl shook her head and moved back, but Cole stayed calm. He reached into his pocket and took out a small packet of food. He placed it gently on the ground. After a moment, she crawled toward the food and started eating. Cole smiled softly. "Who are you?" he asked. The girl looked down and whispered, "Varela." Cole's heart stopped for a moment. He had heard that name before. Varela was the daughter of Queen Xilara, the ruler of the Zilari Empire. To find her here, alone and scared, was impossible. "Varela, the princess," Cole said quietly. The girl nodded. Cole knew this was a problem. The enemy would want her back, and his commanders would want to know where she was. But for now, all he could think about was keeping her safe. "Come with me," Cole said gently. Varela hesitated but then stood up. Cole took her hand, feeling how small and fragile she was. The city was dangerous, but he promised himself to protect this little girl no matter what. Outside, the sound of gunfire and explosions grew louder. The battle was not over yet. Cole looked at his team and said, "We move fast. Protect the princess." They nodded, ready to fight again. Together, they ran through the broken city. A human soldier and an alien princess, 2 strangers bound by fate in the middle of war. The air was thick with smoke and the sound of distant explosions as Sergeant Cole Riker and his team moved carefully through the ruins of Cryan Ridge. Cole held the small hand of the alien girl Varela tightly. She was quiet, her big blue eyes watching everything with fear and confusion. The team had no choice but to keep moving. The enemy forces were closing in fast. The streets were dangerous. Broken glass, burning vehicles, and collapsed buildings blocked their path. Cole's soldiers stayed close, guns ready, always watching for trouble. Varela suddenly stopped and looked up at Cole. Her voice was soft and shaky. "Where are we going?" Cole knelt down beside her and smiled gently. "Somewhere safe. You're not alone anymore." Varela nodded but stayed close to him. She didn't understand much of what was happening, but she felt safe with Cole. As they walked, Cole scanned the area with his helmet's sensors. The child's life signs were weak. She had not eaten or rested for days. Cole knew they had to find help soon. "Hold tight," he told his team. "We find a med station or evac point." The group moved carefully through narrow alleys and shattered buildings. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the ground. Dust and debris rained down from above. "Ambush," one of Cole's soldiers shouted. Enemy fighters appeared, firing energy weapons from behind cover. Cole reacted fast. "Take cover," he ordered. The team dived behind broken walls and burning cars. Bullets and plasma bolts zipped past. Amid the chaos, Varela whimpered and tried to hide behind Cole's legs. Without thinking, Cole wrapped his arms around her, shielding her body. One enemy fighter aimed directly at Cole. The soldier fired a powerful plasma shot. Cole felt a sharp sting in his shoulder, but he didn't fall. Instead, he pushed forward and fired back, taking out the enemy. The other soldiers fought fiercely. The firefight lasted only minutes, but it felt like hours. When the last enemy fell, Cole checked on Varela. She was trembling but unharmed. "You protected me," she whispered. Cole smiled despite the pain. "I promised." They didn't have much time to rest. The sound of enemy reinforcements grew louder. Cole helped Varela to her feet. "We have to move," he said. "Can you walk?" Varela nodded slowly and held his hand tightly again. As they moved forward, Cole's comms crackled. "Riker, evac ships are leaving orbit. Last chance to get out," a voice said. Cole's heart raced. They were almost trapped, but giving up was not an option. "We're coming," Cole replied. "Hold on, Varela." The group pushed through the last dangerous streets, dodging enemy patrols and automated drones. Every step was a fight for survival. Finally, they reached a ruined landing pad where the last evac shuttle was waiting. The pilot waved them in urgently. Cole carried Varela up the ramp and onto the ship. The doors closed behind them as the shuttle lifted off just seconds before the enemy reached the pad. Inside, the hum of the engines was loud, but Cole felt relief wash over him. The little girl was safe. For now. He looked down at Varela, who was quietly watching the stars through the window. "We made it," he said softly. The stars outside seemed peaceful, but Cole knew this was just the beginning of something much bigger. The AVAC shuttle shook as it sped away from Cryan Ridge. Inside, the lights flickered, and the low hum of the engines filled the cabin. Sergeant Cole Riker sat near the small girl, Varela, who was curled up on a seat, her blue eyes wide with fear and exhaustion. Cole's shoulder throbbed from the plasma wound, but he ignored the pain. His mind raced with questions. How had this little princess ended up alone in a war zone? And what would happen now that she was safe on a human ship? The shuttle pilot, Lieutenant Mara Jensen, spoke over the comms. "Enemy fighters are chasing us. They're not giving up." Cole's jaw tightened. "How long until we reach the fleet?" 10 minutes, Mara replied. "But it won't be easy." The shuttle suddenly jolted as laser fire struck the hull. Sparks flew from the damaged panels. Outside, dark shapes of enemy ships swirled like angry wasps. "Hold tight," Mara shouted, weaving the shuttle through a maze of asteroids and debris. Cole pulled Varela close. The girl's small hands gripped his arm tightly. "It's okay, Varela. We're going to be safe," he said softly. The shuttle shook again. An explosion rocked the rear engine. Smoke filled the cabin, making it hard to breathe. "Damage report," Cole ordered. "We're losing power," Mara said, sweat running down her face. "Shields are down to 50%. The enemy ships closed in, firing relentlessly. Cole knew their chances were slim, but surrender was not an option. Suddenly, the cabin's alarm blared. A missile had hit near the cockpit. Cole sprang to his feet and grabbed his rifle. "Get ready," he said to his team. The AVAC shuttle was no longer just a transport. It had become a battlefield. Cole moved to the front, peeking through the small window. Enemy fighters were closing fast, preparing to board. "Brace for impact," Mara shouted. The shuttle shook violently as it was hit again. Cole felt a sharp pain in his side, but kept fighting. Suddenly, the shuttle's external cameras showed a surprise. Federation fighter jets were arriving. "Backup is here," Cole yelled, feeling hope rise. The fighters engaged the enemy, their lasers lighting up the dark space. One by one, The enemy ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. With the fighters covering them, the shuttle limped closer to the fleet's massive capital ship. The shuttle's doors opened, and Cole quickly carried Varela inside. Medics rushed to help him with his wounds, but Cole waved them away. "First, get the princess safe," he said. Varela looked up at Cole with trust. "Thank you," she whispered. Cole smiled, tired but proud. Against all odds, they had escaped the enemy. As he looked out at the stars from the fleet's deck, Cole knew this was only the beginning of a greater mission, protecting the Zilari princess and maybe saving two worlds from endless war. The Federation's capital ship, Starblade, floated quietly in orbit around Cryan Ridge. Inside, the halls buzzed with activity. Soldiers, scientists, and diplomats moved quickly, but all eyes were on one person, Sergeant Cole Riker. Cole sat in a small room, nursing his wounds. His arm was bandaged, but his mind was restless. The Zilari princess, Varela, was safe beside him, wrapped in a warm blanket. Her big blue eyes watched everything quietly, still too young to understand the full danger they were in. Suddenly, the ship's communication system beeped loudly. Cole's captain entered the room, his face serious. "Sergeant, we just received a message from Queen Silara herself," the captain said. "She is furious." Cole's stomach tightened. The Zilari Queen was one of the most powerful leaders in the galaxy. Her empire controlled thousands of star systems. Her daughter was a symbol of her power. And now, she was with a human soldier. The captain continued. "She demands the immediate return of her daughter. She threatens to attack Earth's colonies if we refuse." Cole looked down at Varela. She was small and fragile, but the galaxy saw her as a prize, a key to power. He felt a deep protectiveness rise in him. "I'm not giving her up," Cole said quietly. The captain nodded slowly. "We expected as much, but this could start a war." Cole stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. The silence of space was strange after all the fighting. Then, unexpectedly, the communications officer's voice interrupted the tense air. "Sir, new data is coming in from Queen Silara." The captain switched on the screen. The image of the queen appeared. She looked regal and strong, her eyes burning with anger and concern. "People of Earth," Queen Silara said, her voice calm but powerful, "I expected my daughter to be returned. But the video you sent changed everything." The video showed Cole protecting Varela during the battle, shielding her from enemy fire with his own body. The queen's expression softened for a moment. "She risked her life for my child," Silara said. "Perhaps there is more to this human than I thought." The message ended with a surprising offer. "I will not order an attack today. Instead, I request a meeting with this soldier. We must talk about the future of our peoples." The room fell silent. Cole stared at the screen, stunned. His captain looked at him and said, "You're the one she wants to meet." Cole swallowed hard. What would this meeting bring? War? Peace? Or something else? He looked down at Varela, who smiled faintly up at him. Whatever came next, Cole knew one thing for sure. His life had changed forever. Delphi Station hung quietly in space, a huge, shining outpost built to keep peace between different planets and species. It floated like a bright star, surrounded by the dark silence of the galaxy. Sergeant Cole Riker stood on the station's main deck, staring out at the stars. The place was very different from the war zones he knew. It was calm, clean, and full of people from many worlds. Humans, Zilari, and others moved around, speaking different languages, but working together. Today was important. The Queen of the Zilari Empire, Silara herself, was coming to Delphi Station. She wanted to meet Cole, the human soldier who had saved her daughter, Princess Varela. Cole felt nervous. This meeting was not just about a talk. It could decide the fate of two empires and many lives. The war had lasted years, with death and destruction on both sides. Now, peace might be possible, but only if trust could grow. The doors opened, and Varela walked beside him. The little girl looked calm and curious, her hand holding Cole's. She smiled up at him, making Cole feel brave. The queen arrived soon after. She was tall and powerful, with shining eyes that seemed to look deep into people's souls. But when she saw Varela safe and healthy, her expression softened. "Sergeant Riker," the queen said in her clear voice, "you saved my daughter's life. For that, I thank you." Cole bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, it was my honor." The queen studied him for a moment. "Tell me, why did you risk everything for a child of the enemy?" Cole looked her in the eyes. "Because she was just a child. Because war is not just about fighting, it's about protecting the innocent." The queen nodded slowly. "You are different from other humans I have met." Just then, the station's alarms suddenly blared. Everyone froze. A fleet of unknown ships appeared on the station's sensors, ships from a group who wanted to stop peace. They saw Varela as a weapon and the queen's offer as weakness. Cole's heart raced. "We have attackers." Security forces rushed to defend the station. Cole grabbed his rifle and moved to protect Varela and the queen. The attackers fired powerful energy weapons, shaking the station's walls. Cole and the guards fought bravely, pushing back the enemy forces. In the middle of the battle, Varela hid behind Cole. "I'm scared," she whispered. Cole smiled. "I'm here. We'll be okay." After a fierce fight, the attackers retreated. The station was damaged, but the people were safe. The queen looked at Cole and Varela. "This war is not over," she said quietly. "But today we took the first step toward peace." Cole nodded. "Together, we can stop the fighting." Varela smiled brightly. "We're a team." The queen looked out the window, her eyes full of hope. "Then let us begin." The halls of Delphi Station were quiet after the attack. The lights flickered softly, and the hum of machines filled the air. Sergeant Cole Riker sat across from Queen Silara in a large meeting room. Princess Varela played quietly nearby, building shapes with small blocks. The tension was thick. Both sides had lost trust in years of war, but now, here in this room, something new was happening. Queen Silara looked at Cole with sharp, thoughtful eyes. "You are a brave soldier, Sergeant," she said slowly. "You saved my daughter's life when many others would have left her behind." Cole nodded, keeping his expression calm. "I did what anyone should do, protect the innocent." The queen smiled faintly. "You are not like other humans." Cole felt a strange mix of pride and unease. He wasn't sure what the queen wanted, but he knew this meeting was important. Suddenly, the queen's expression changed. She stood and walked to a large window overlooking the stars. "There is a tradition among the Zilari," she said quietly. "When a life is saved, a bond is formed. A sacred bond. This bond is stronger than any treaty or law." Cole watched her carefully. She turned back, her voice firm but kind. "I offer you a place beside my family, to be Varela's guardian, her protector, and more." Cole blinked in surprise. The queen took a deep breath. "I offer you the chance to become my consort, the partner of the Zilari royal family. This union would show the galaxy that Earth and the Zilari can be united. It would bring peace." The room was silent. Cole looked down at Varela. The little girl looked up at him with wide eyes, trusting him. His heart raced. This offer was more than honor. It was a heavy responsibility, and it could change everything. I don't know what to say," Cole said finally. Queen Silara smiled softly. "You do not have to answer now. Think carefully. This is a decision that will affect not just you, but many others." Cole nodded slowly. "I will think." As the meeting ended, Cole walked beside Varela through the quiet halls. The stars outside shone brightly, full of unknown possibilities. For the first time, Cole wondered if this war could truly end, if peace was possible, born from a human soldier's courage and an alien queen's hope. The stars outside Delphi Station sparkled like diamonds, but inside Sergeant Cole Riker's mind, Everything was cloudy. The Queen's shocking offer to become part of the Zilari royal family weighed heavily on him. Cole sat alone in a quiet room, staring at the small holoprojector in his hands. The image of Varella's smiling face flickered softly. She was innocent and trusting. But the future was not simple. His team had gathered nearby, giving him space but ready if needed. They knew this mission was more than a battle. It was about the fate of two worlds. Cole's thoughts drifted back to the war, the fighting, and the lives lost. But Varela was different. She was a symbol of hope, a chance for peace. His radio beeped. It was Captain Morris. "Riker, the command wants your answer soon. The galaxy is watching." Cole sighed deeply. Could he accept the Queen's offer? To be a consort was to change his life forever. To leave Earth and live among the Zilari, a proud, powerful race, unlike humans in many ways. He thought of his family back home, the friends he had lost, and the life he had known. But then he looked at Varella's face again, hope shining in her eyes. The door opened, and Varela stepped inside quietly. She held a small flower she had found in the station's garden. "Sergeant," she said softly, "will you stay with me?" Cole smiled gently and took the flower. "I will do my best to protect you, Varela. That's a promise." Varela nodded, happy but still unsure. Cole stood up, feeling the weight of his choice. He knew it would change everything: his identity, his mission, his future. But sometimes the hardest choices were the right ones. He walked toward the communication room to send his answer. The Queen's message had said peace depended on trust and courage. Now, Cole had to show both. As he pressed the button to reply, he took a deep breath and said aloud, "For Varela, for peace, I accept." The great hall of Delphi Station was filled with light and color. Flags of many planets waved gently in the air, and crowds of humans and Zilari gathered together. Today was a day no one would forget. Sergeant Cole Riker stood at the center of the hall, dressed in the traditional Zilari uniform. His heart beat fast, but he stood tall. Around him, leaders from both sides watched closely. Beside him, Princess Varela smiled brightly. She held Cole's hand tightly, happy and proud. Queen Silura appeared at the front, her regal presence commanding silence. She spoke in a clear, strong voice. "Today, we unite not just by blood, but by trust and hope. Sergeant Cole Riker has accepted the sacred bond to protect my daughter and stand with us." Cole looked out at the crowd, seeing faces filled with hope and some with doubt. He knew many questions would come after this day, but for now, they were united. The ceremony began with ancient Zilari rituals, songs that spoke of peace, strength, and new beginnings. Cole felt a warmth inside, different from any battle he had fought. It was the feeling of belonging, of a new family. After the ceremony, Cole knelt before the Queen. "I promise to serve you and your people with honor," he said. The Queen smiled and placed a glowing amulet around his neck. "This amulet symbolizes our bond. It will protect you and remind you of your promise." Varela hugged Cole tightly. "You're my hero," she whispered. Cole smiled and hugged her back. "And you're my reason." Outside the hall, reporters and diplomats gathered, eager to share the news. The alliance between Earth and the Zilari was now official. But not everyone was happy. Across the galaxy, enemies of peace began to plot. They saw this union as a threat to their power. Cole knew challenges lay ahead, but for the first time, hope was stronger than fear. He looked at Varela and whispered, "Together, we will face whatever comes." The stars outside sparkled brighter than ever, as if welcoming a new era. An era where a human soldier and an alien princess could change the fate of worlds. The peace of Delphi Station felt fragile like glass. Though the ceremony had united humans and Zilari, dark clouds gathered beyond the stars. Sergeant Cole Riker stood on the observation deck, looking out at the galaxy's vastness. The glowing amulet around his neck pulsed softly, a reminder of his new role and the promise he made. But peace was not easy. The enemies who wanted war were growing stronger. Secret groups, powerful warlords, and old rivalries threatened to tear apart the fragile alliance. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the station. The warning lights flashed red. Intruders. The security chief shouted. Enemy saboteurs have boarded the station. Cole grabbed his rifle and moved quickly. Varela stayed close, but the Queen ordered her to a safe room. The station shook as the saboteurs tried to destroy critical systems. Cole and the guards fought fiercely through the narrow halls, pushing the enemy back step by step. Cole's mind raced. This attack was more than just violence. It was a message. The warlords wanted everyone to know that peace was weak, and they would fight to destroy it. After a long battle, the saboteurs were defeated, but the damage was done. Systems were offline, and many lives were at risk. Queen Silara appeared, her face hard but determined. We will rebuild. We will be stronger. Cole nodded, feeling the weight of leadership settle on his shoulders. I will protect this alliance, no matter what. Varela joined him later, her small hand in his. Are we safe now? She asked. Cole smiled gently. As long as we stand together, we will be safe. The stars outside twinkled, but Cole knew the real battle had only just begun. The war was not over. But this time, humans and Zilari would fight as one. The battle for peace had been long and hard, but now, a new dawn was breaking for the galaxy. Sergeant Cole Riker stood on the bridge of the Starblade, the Federation's capital ship. Around him, humans and Zilari worked side by side, their faces tired but hopeful. Princess Varela stood beside him, her eyes bright with promise. She was no longer just a child lost in war. She was a symbol of unity and hope. The enemy forces that once threatened peace had been pushed back, their power weakened by the new alliance. Queen Silara's voice came through the comm system, strong and clear. Today we celebrate not only survival but a future built together. Cole looked out at the stars. He thought of all that had happened, the battles, the sacrifices, and the unexpected offer that had changed his life. He had chosen to protect Varela, to accept the Queen's bond, and to fight for a future where humans and Zilari could live in peace. The galaxy was still full of challenges, but now there was hope. Cole smiled and squeezed Varela's hand. This is just the beginning. Together, we can build a better tomorrow. The stars outside seemed to shine brighter, as if the universe itself welcomed the new era. A human soldier had saved an alien princess, and in return, he had saved 2 worlds. And the story of their courage would be told for generations to come.